Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in today's video, sponsored by the makers of Rise of Kingdoms, we're going to be talking about the skills on the new Open Field Archer Commander, which were just revealed. And I spent a little bit of time investigating how to pronounce this commander's name. It's actually 3 syllables. You can say them with me. The first syllable is pow, the second syllable is and the third syllable is creep. Power creep! Holy moly, this commander is so good! It's ridiculous. So let's talk about it. And like, okay, active skill, 2,800 damage factor. Like, yeah, power levels really high here. So this is single target damage, which like, okay, remain calm. AoE damage is still the name of the game. All right, it's actually rise of area of effect damage, for those that didn't know. I know people think it's Rise of Kingdoms, but it's actually, seriously, it's all about AoE damage. Now, if serving as the secondary commander, this is where things get interesting. It's very simple if they're the primary commander. And like maybe you can just pair them with Ashurbanipal and do big skill damage and call it a day. But if they are the secondary commander, for the next 10 seconds, whenever this commander heals a target, they also deal 80% affected by their troops' attack of the heal strength as true damage. So this is crazy. This doesn't look like a mighty heal. It says they deal 80% of the heal strength as true damage. Oh, the next thing is a mighty heal. Hold up. This commander's troop is mighty healed. For a large portion of its slightly wounded units, healing factor 2,000. So in either case, the target of the damage loses 50% march speed for 3 seconds. So we have a march speed reduction, which is cool, and you either do big single target damage or you do a sneakily high amount of healing and single target damage. The 2,000 factor is going to be more than you think due to how mighty healing works. And the way that I understand mighty healing to work is that the more factor you have and the more troops you have, the more crazy it gets. But whatever. Let's get a look further here at some of these details. A skill's heal strength is equal to how many units it is capable of healing, not how many actually get healed, including any bonuses or reductions to healing. And true damage calculation is not affected by the attacking troop's attack attribute or the defending troop's defense attribute. So this is a little bit weird. I think the bit about how many units it's capable of healing is important because if you haven't taken a lot of damage, you have no units to heal. So this is saying like, hey, how many would you have healed? And that's going to determine your heal strength, which influences your true damage. Okay. But what's interesting is that it says this is affected by the troop's attack. And this over here says the damage calculation is not affected by the troop's attack. So, I don't know. It's just a lot to take in on day one. But the short version of this is that there's 2 modes. Either you go full single target damage or you go for the healing true damage version. Now, why would you do that? Well, let's look at the rest of the skills here. This commander's archer units gain 35% health and 20% march speed. Power creep. What are we talking about? That's a lot of health. That's a lot of march speed. And it's really good. Yeah, that's very powerful. Not much more to say about that other than they're definitely pushing what they can put into a single skill. I suppose, you know, like Constantine's got 40% infantry health, but it doesn't have the 20% march speed on top. So obviously designed for open field here. Health is the thing you really want to be getting. Very powerful. Dew of Devotion. If this commander is in a field troop, so I think that means not in a rally, right? It's just if it's in the open field, their troop takes 10% less normal damage. That's good in the smite damage meta. And whenever their troop uses an active skill, it mighty heals up to 3 nearby allied or friendly troops, including this commander's troop, for a large portion of their slightly wounded units, healing factor 500. Oh, and it says down here, a field troop is a non-rally, non-garrison troop on the map. And you can't be in a resource point. Great. And number 2 here says, includes smite damage and damage dealt by basic attacks and counterattacks. Cool. Does not include damage dealt by ranged basic attacks and ranged counterattacks. So this is really crazy because If you use this commander as the secondary, which you absolutely should, then that means that you have done 1,500 total healing factor. It's 503 targets. And when you've used them as the secondary, 80% of that damage, or rather 80% of that heal strength, will be dealt as true damage to a target. So like, this commander will be pushing damage through other commanders and themselves by virtue of this heal. All right, now this ability has a 3-second cooldown, so the way an active skill cycle works, you only get this once per skill cycle, but seems really good. And, you know, look, this skill has a 10-second window for this buff, where you get to deal the true damage when you're healing. And I think that's plenty of time to go through the skill cycle at some point in the 10 seconds. If you're in sort of a committed fight, that's very easy to accomplish. If you're doing a lot of back and forth, maybe you won't generate the rage, but feel like this is extremely powerful. You are healing and you're doing damage as you go, which is really good. And it's tied to the active skill cycle, which is fine. Braving the danger. This commander's troop takes 20% less damage on the map. Bro. Are we good here? 20% less damage while on the map? Do you remember when Hannibal Barca was like, you need 3 troop types and you can deal 10% more damage? And now we're just giving away 20% damage taken reduction on top of one of the best canyon skills in the game. Let me explain. While this commander's troop is on the map, whenever it is reduced to 60% of units remaining, it will be mighty healed for a large portion of slightly wounded units, healing factor 5,000. And for the next 8 seconds, they will have 40% less attack, which doesn't matter for your archer true damage if they're the secondary, right? And they take 40% less damage, bro. So you have what, 60% damage taken reduction for 8 seconds? That is insane. This can only trigger once per hour. Well, in Canyon, this is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And in case all of that wasn't enough, there's still an expertise skill, and the expertise reads as follows. Whenever this commander's troop heals a troop, for the next 3 seconds, the healed troop gets 10% defense and deals 20% more normal damage. Now, this almost doesn't feel like it's for your own march per se. What I mean by that is this march doesn't care all that much about 20% more normal damage. It doesn't really care about 10 defense. I think this really is most insane with the Dew of Devotion hitting 3 targets, right? But I will point out that this will qualify as a heal and that there's no internal cooldown on this, listed anyways. So you can, from your active skill, get 10% defense and 20% more normal damage. When this skill triggers, you're going to lose 40% attack, take 40% less damage, gain 10% defense, deal 20% more normal damage, okay? And anytime you get one of these heals to trigger, your army always gets prioritized, but then 2 other armies also get prioritized nearby. So the army she's in, and then 2 others. And your armies get prioritized over allied armies, other players, but whatever. You're giving your team defense and normal boost, which, if you've got a bunch of smite infantry on the field with your healing archers, it all seems really, really, really remarkably powerful. And if we look at this commander, we say, well, do they even need to be maxed, Jess? Like, do you actually have to max this commander? Let's get a look. If you maxed the first skill, and you maxed the second skill, okay? The third skill, just by unlocking it, you get half of its effectiveness. That ain't so bad, right? Like, in the grand scheme of things, that ain't so bad. And then the next skill over here, right? You get about half the effectiveness, actually, for braving the danger. So even if you don't have her expertise, she probably is going to be in Canyon, because this healing effect is disgusting in Canyon. There's all kinds of predictions folks are starting to make around how powerful this will be, but Constantine is the best Canyon commander in the game, and it's not even up for debate. So this might be the new best Canyon commander in the game, or she'll be right there with Constantine. And I suspect now there'll be a world in which you have like an archer frontline. And that is just going to be really, really, really nuts. Like, this is going to be really good. And there's even things to be said about like, well, how viable will this actually be in a garrison? So let's evaluate. Braving the danger is not going to work. All right, you have to be on the map for that to work. So that's not it. And if this commander is a field troop, so you lose out on 2 skills. If this is not, I don't think this is designed to be a garrison pairing. I don't think that it is. So that's kind of weird because, you know, we know the other archer is going to do a bunch of healing. So who are you supposed to pair this with? Well, let's go get a look in game and get a peek. You know, there's a lot of funny things you can do with a healing archer, but one of them would be pairing with Trajan. And this is really tragic for me because that's not something I could do because I don't have archer gear. I don't have leadership gear. I've got this gear, which was once meta and is about to, I think, be definitely not meta. I mean, it's already definitely not meta, but like, my buddy Amfern has pointed out, like, hey, dude, what do you think about a Trajan pairing? And certainly, I think in Canyon could be pretty nuts to make that pairing. But most people, man, they're not looking at that. They're like, just go get the Trajan off the screen, bro. Just get him off the screen. All right. I'll take it easy. Let's look over here at Asher Benapal. All right. And I look at Asher Benapal because you know what I don't want to do? I don't want to take Zhuge Liang and I don't want to take Hermann Prime. I don't want to split them. I don't want to do it. So arguably your best archer now would be Asher Benapal. Skill damage, if you're going to use him as the primary, is the name of the game. So would you want to do this pairing? Well, you get big damage factor and you get to hit the main target very hard. You gain archer attack, which is not going to, I can't tell if it works with your true damage because of the wording on that ability or not. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. You get march speed and defense when you're outside of territory. You deal more skill damage. Does skill damage enhance your true damage from the heals? I don't think it does, right? I don't know like how synergistic this really is. And then over here, you take less normal damage. Fine. If you're leading a rally attack, well, that's not going to matter. Then every time you use an active skill, you get one of these buffs. I mean, I don't know if Asher Benapal's it. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, but I don't know if like that's really the jam. And it's funny because as I look at this, I'm like, wait, hold up. I got a crazy idea about a healing synergy. What about Boudica Prime? Just saying. So what happens here? Whenever their troop uses an active skill, it recovers a portion of slightly wounded units, 800 healing factor. So with our new commander here, overpowered or power creep, whatever name I gave her, right? Does this mean that you do damage? Because that really improves Boudica Prime quite substantially, right? Like I don't think it is as good as AoE damage is, but shrugging off all your debuffs here seems pretty good. Reducing the skill damage you take seems pretty good. Getting a bunch of defense and march speed seems pretty good. The only weirdness is the skill tree, both on Asher Benapal and also on this other archer, which makes me wonder, I really wonder, are we going to be pairing the 2 new archers together? Like, is that really a pushed synergy? And I think it might be. We'll see. I mean, obviously, there's going to be garrison-related skills on the new archer, so those won't work in the open field, and it may not matter. I mean, for a time, everybody would have said, and most people would say, that Gorgo was open field meta because we just didn't have Smite Talent Tree or a bunch of Smite Commanders yet. So the other thing I will point out is that Defense Tree gets really interesting in the context of this, like, whenever you take a heal, you do damage situation. Whenever this commander's troop uses an active skill, it recovers, I believe it's 300 healing factor, which becomes damage as well, which makes Defense Tree look really, really good, right? Am I crazy? The other thing that starts to look really crazy is if we get a look at the support tree. And there's not that many support tree archers, right? We've got a few. I suppose Herman Prime just came out recently. Oh, God. So if you were to pair with Herman Prime, which I don't think is perfect because there's this AoE skill damage synergy, which wouldn't exist. But Herman Prime as the primary, and then you can get this talent over here. Whenever you receive healing, you gain an attack boost, and also you can enhance your healing. I don't know if those will ultimately push the sort of power on your Mighty Heal True Damage, but might be the case, and that makes the support tree look really good. The other tree I'll point out that's got some synergy, if we go back to Trajan, your favorite commander and mine, there it is. Any healing received by this commander's troop is increased by 9%. So if that also turns into a damage boost, that seems really good. In fact, Trajan is giving you a total of 18%. Bro, that could be really good. Oh no. Let's go back to the new commander's wording and just double check on that real quick. For the next 10 seconds, whenever this commander heals a target, they also deal 80% affected by their troop attack of heal strength as true damage. And it says a heal strength is equal to the number of units it's capable of healing, not how many are actually healed, including any bonuses or reductions to healing. Oh my God. Trajan plus new archer, chat. It is actually likely to be a thing. It is likely to be a thing. Now, true damage is not affected by the attacking troop's attack or the defending troop's defense, but it doesn't, like, I don't know.